outwards, then shortly present only two of the bigger design for social innovation projects we are in right now. Then we will make a request and a proposal. And on the whole, to sum up, we will talk about the objectives we have. And then what's most important for us is to prompt debate with some practical and theoretical problems we are dealing with, and that probably some of you too do too, okay? Then, as I said, we become the DESIS member in April 2022. We have been working with social design for 5 years, and more recently, we have also initiated projects on design for social innovation. ESDA DESIS Labs works in here is transversal, open, organic, and it is not a niche, neither an office or a desk. Alberto, Jose, and Cecilia, we are just the core team, but there are many more. Then looking inwards, okay. I don't know, can you see the full picture? Because I'm on it right now.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, then. Okay, looking inwards, how we work by now. ESDA DESIS Lab is very much focused on giving the educational community tools to generate social change through tuition. All the teachers, students, and former students from the ESDA interested in participating in ongoing social innovation projects and prospective research are invited. We offer open meetings and mentoring. Let me see. Okay. We offer open meetings and mentoring. We celebrate several ESDA DESIS Lab meetings each term. Teresa?
Yes, Cecilia?
Because we are hearing each one who's coming in. We are hearing ding dong, ding dong. Maybe if you, I don't know if it's you or Gisela who should maybe mute it.
I can try, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. We celebrate several, as I was saying, we have meetings and mentoring. So we celebrate several ESDA DESIS Lab meetings each term, where we keep register and inform to the educational community in case they want to participate in some way. Particularly this term, we have launched an ESDA DESIS Lab working group with 25 teachers, who are 40% of the whole teaching staff at school. This lab is delivering mentoring too. When one or several of our teachers or students decide to run or participate in a project, we have a one-to-one meeting to contact them with the institution they're willing to work with and give them some advice on social design teaching methods and tools. Okay. We have been involved in more than 30 projects these last 5 years, moving some from social design projects to more related design for social innovation ones. We have chosen only 2 projects to shortly talk about more related to design for social innovation, which are Ilvana and Building Bridges. Jose is going to introduce the first one, Ilvana, in which he and a big part of the school, we are highly involved. Jose?
Hello, everybody. Designing for Ilvana is a serving learning project that gives support through design to a group of women with children in a primary school in our city. The main goal to achieve is to empower them socially and economically, to fight transgenerational transmission of poverty. Our aim is to have a real impact in our community and the opportunity to produce student designs for real clients. We give them support in 3 ways: by providing them the basic tools for branding and promotion, setting workshops of design, and helping them to learn and collaborate with expert designers, by putting them in contact with young fashion designers that donate their designs to Ilvana, and teach them how to produce and sell these garments. And finally, by positioning Ilvana products in fashion shops to sell their products with a higher value than in the charity circuits where they used to do it. This service learning project have changed us as an organization during the last 5 years, winning a national award on gender equality, making us improve our own relations inside ESDA, and also with different institutions. And finally, moving from a approach of teaching design to a wider conception of what design can do when it moves towards social innovation. Open your microphone, Cecilia.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jose. Building bridges is the other one we want to shortly explain. This is a long-term project we are working in with people at the quarter, which is on the other side of the river. That's why our pupils call this project Building Bridges. It's a very deprived quarter with overcrowded houses, drug dealing, and high rates of migrants. We started collaborating in different smaller projects, and last year, from the optional subject social design, we did a community and collaborative map in which people in the quarter participated both in deciding and in making it. This map would be given by every community helping point in the quarter to everyone coming to it in need. There's a big amount of floating migrant population. Many of them have no idea of Spanish, so the pictogram system on the map would help. This experience raises a question, which can we insist later in the debate, which is this social design or is this design for social innovation? And then looking outwards, one of the things we like to think, or at least we wonder about, is that Zaragoz's size enhances the impact of interventions. Just because of its size, I mean, in relation to big cities. It's a 15-minute city itself, the exact time it takes to cycle my commute every day. Okay, and then looking outwards, as stated, we are willing to cooperate with other DESIS labs around the world. Not long ago, we luckily had here Albert Fuster, I don't know, he's around, hello, director of Elisava and its DESIS Lab in Barcelona. It was super motivating and really inspiring and interesting. And then a request. The brand new project we are launching right now have to do with, the first one is a project of theater by homeless named Caídos del Cielo, Fallen from the Sky, in which the 4 disciplines are getting involved. And another one with minor offenders in prison. Maybe Eugenia can talk a little bit about it later in the debate. Another one with, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, there are quite a bit more. So if someone around is doing something similar, please get in touch. Okay, then now I'm gonna put a video. And a proposal, our proposal. Last year, we celebrated for the first time the ESDA Social Design Days. And we had the opportunity and luxury of having here with us to Teresa Franqueira, Francesco Mazzarella, and Adam Thor, these last two from UAL London, who gave us great advice and leave this marvelous flavor that a face-to-face DESIS encounter must give. So our proposal is an invitation, a beautiful excuse to get together and start projects by working together. We are planning to launch the second edition in the second week of May 2023. It's true we have not a big budget, but we have a huge motivation and enthusiasm among teachers and students to prepare those days. Then, let me see, sorry. Objectives. Summarizing, these are our nowadays main objectives. Firstly, to improve design education by making the students aware of the fact they have the possibility to achieve social change and giving them some tools to face this kind of challenges. It's asking me to admit someone. Secondly, improve research development. At this point, we have to say we are in the beginning. Our research on social design and design for social innovation is incipient because it's quite difficult for us. What's this? At this point, I was talking about research. It's difficult for us since each teacher has lessons for 20 hours a week, and there is very little time recognized for research. So we do what we can. However, this is one of the main reasons why we wanted to apply to be DESIS. We are willing to improve, and we know DESIS, it's an important source of academic food for thought. And this leads to our last and more recent goal, which is trying to be also international. Being small as we are, this is a big ambition, in order to give our students and teachers the opportunity to practice and learn from different DESIS labs around the world. And then, right now, and to foster debate. To foster debate, some practical and theoretical issues we are facing in our performance. Of course, we bear in mind there is an opportunity of participating in philosophy talks and other interesting encounters within DESIS. But we wanted to bring to the fore some issues to prompt discussion. As stated, these discussion issues emerge from the problems we are dealing with. And the first question would be, how do you solve this problem, if any? Okay, then another video, this one. Then practical issues. In real life, things are much complicated. We have this curricular limitation because our educational laws are very restrictive and it's difficult to modify. Hence, we feel we are juggling to be able to do all this. Many teachers are working overtime to carry all this work out. And also, there's an organizational workload. We have realized that when working with ONGs, foundations, etc., sometimes you feel you are more an administrator than a teacher. In addition, in our practice, some of the problems we have to deal with are intercultural relationships, for example, among Muslims, Spanish or Romanian gypsies, Latin Americans, etc. This is many times an added challenge we did not count on. We have others, such as making things sustainable and not just fireworks and bye-bye. On the other hand, we have 3 more theoretical issues. Probably you have talked many times about them, but we would like to know what you think about them. So first, given the worldwide situation we are living in, which implies pandemic, climate change, Ukrainian war and its consequences, does it make sense to distinguish between social design and design for social innovation today? Second, social designer or designer for social innovation, expert. Could this come to be a profession? If so, how would it relate to other design disciplines? And in the end, most important, when asking why we do this, what moves us, it seems unavoidable to talk about ethics. Hence, probably we should talk about empathy, following Adela Cortina, and further on, and I'm not butting up, we should talk about care, as Ezio explained so well in his recent book, Livable Proximities. And that's the end of our presentation. Please feel free to tell us. If you come in May, you will enjoy not only good coffee, but also chocolate with churros. Okay, thank you. Is there someone, sorry, who wants to tell something? Shall I share now this way? Shall I do this?
Thank you, Cecilia. Let's open the mic to our participants, see if they have something to
Yes, please. But how I
ask.
Can
if you want, you can stop your presentation.
Okay. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, I see. Now we should view.
As you do, you want to open the
Hello, Ezio. Pleased to meet you.
You need to open your mic, Ezio. You are muted.
Oh, yes, I can do it, but I don't want to kill the conversation I was saying, so I don't want to make a kind of lecture. So starting, first of all, thanks for the presentation. That was really very interesting. And compliment in particular, maybe it could appear a detail, but I find that the visual was fantastic. And this idea of having people as a background when you talk, really, it looks like you are very good in making this kind of things. So congratulations for that. It was really very interesting. For what regard the 2 projects that you presented, there was something maybe in the audio. So I think that I understood the atmosphere, the kind of things, but I cannot say that I really have understood specifically what was the topic, but maybe I am the only one, or maybe my audio was the only one that was not working so well. I understood very well the final questions. And of course, given that you give the question, I can say something. But as you can imagine, this is a topic that should be discussed not in the atmosphere of the DESIS Café. So the DESIS Café is mainly done to know each other and to see what the people is doing. So to start from the end, I would say nowadays, since a long time, I do not mind so much when people say social innovation or design for social innovation, because I think that we have so many tough issues to discuss. That is not the case to stop the conversation and say, hey, one moment, are we talking about social innovation or design for social innovation? But even though it's not the DESIS Café the place where to do it, but given that you said there is a difference, so the two areas of interest in which the social design for social innovation work are overlapping, and the overlapping is growing, but they are not exactly the same. So maybe two examples could make it clear. If we talk about designing a new hospital for refugees, if the hospital is a normal hospital as it has to be, this could be a fantastic social design because you are working for a client that is not a client for the market, and a client that who knows where they found the money, or maybe you do it in a voluntary basis. But maybe in the fact of this hospital exists, it changed a lot for the people there. So it's really super important, but it's not changing anything in the system. And therefore, to change the system, you need something else. At the same time, if you work to organize, let's make a very classical example now since decade, a farmer market in a city, and the farmer market is mainly used by middle class, and therefore you could say, well, this, in which way there is a need? They are needy? No, they are not needy. They are not strictly speaking needy. They are people that want to live better, and maybe to live better having a certain sensitivity regarding the food, the environment, etc. So in the moment in which you have not a farmer market, means that also the farmers organize themselves, so there is a change in the system to have a farmer market if you didn't have the farmer market before. But the same could be said if you organize a community garden. Normally the community garden are not in the worst place. They are in the place where there are somebody that have time and energy to do it. They normally are not the poorest and not the weakest. But it's a change in the idea of the city, the way in which the city is done, because the normal traditional way of thinking how to do the city was to make, maybe to design a park managed by the administration, not to create the condition to have a farm, a community garden. So these two seem to be not overlapping, because one is there are some people that are really in need, and the other one, there are somebody that is willing to do something and we help. When I said that the two things tend to overlap, is that in the last period, talking with people defining themselves as social innovation, as design for social social design, the more and more they recognize that it's important to do something that try to change also something in the system. So for instance, if I take the example that I did before of the hospital, and if you imagine that this hospital, I don't know, is built using local people with local knowledge, and when the medicine that is used also integrate some local medicine, well, in this case, it's not only a social design, it's also a design for social innovation, because it changed something also in the system. And at the same time, if you arrive to organize a vegetable garden, a community vegetable garden in a slum or in a favela, obviously it's also a social issue, because those people are not that they like to have a nice vegetable garden, but they have also the need to cultivate this food. Therefore, the two tend to overlap, and the idea is that they will overlap more and more. Unfortunately, because the bad news is the world is going worst. So there will be more and more opportunity to have social design that also become a need for some change in the system. And there will be more and more need to have a change in the system that have also a direct impact on the poorest and more fragile. But let's say to conclude, the social design normally assume that you work as what was very normal. So you try to see what are the needs, and somebody has to put the resources to find a solution for these needs. Where the very difference in between social design, the classical social design, and design for social innovation is that you look not only for the needs, but also for the resources. So you are trying to see how you can leverage on something that exists to generate a change in the at the systemic level. Therefore, the reason why, in my view, a vegetable garden in the middle class neighborhoods is in any case good, because the new idea emerged where there is the energy to make it emerge. But once that you start to think in terms of the fact that the people could take in their own hand and do something directly, as in this case, this can be extended, and the idea can navigate also in other direction. And this is what is happening now, that there are many ideas that started where they started, where there was a possibility to start, and that tended to move also in other contexts that was different from before. So beyond what I said before, that they are overlapping, the real difference is that the design for social innovation is necessarily with the component of strategic design, because one of the main moves that you have to do is to see how the system could be reframed, and how you can involve in the story something. So you are looking not only for the needs, but also what are the opportunities, what are the energies that you can find in the society or in the territory. And this is intrinsically part of the story. After, in the reality, you can have some mixture, and we are not here now to cut so clear cut. This is one, this is another one. It's not so important. The important, in my view, for whoever is to try to look not only to the needs, but also to the opportunity, and to consider that the people are not only needy, but are also capable, and to work not only to solve the problem, but also to generate opportunity for the people to use their own capability, and in some way also to be part of the solution, not only to be part of the problem. This is what, in my view, remains as a basic concept of service design for social innovation. I say service because there is strategic and service, a lot of strategic and service design. Not only, there is for sure a lot of communication. You say the disciplines. There is both, in my view, both social design and design for social innovation are not a discipline, are area of intervention in which you enter with the capability that you have. So you can be a product designer, you can be a communication designer, you can be a service designer, you can be a digital designer, and you work for some social issue, or you work for some social change. So every discipline is possible. And this brings also to the issue about if this could offer work. And in my view, yes, it can offer work, because I repeat, you train yourself for something that is very needed when things are moving so fast. So you train, if you, as a student, you, as I said, it's not a discipline. So it's not that you have a special discipline that is called design for social innovation, but you organize, as you are doing, some project in which the students are involved in some design activity that ask to see who is capable to do what, how we can help them in expressing themselves, how we can reorganize the system in some way. And this kind of attitude is very powerful. And afterward, of course, you are not going around saying, hey, why don't you hire me that I am a design for social innovators or a designer for social innovation? You have to show that you are capable to do something. And there is, in the world that is changing so fast, there are so many opportunities. The real problem is to recognize the opportunities and to be recognized by them. This is the problem. But well, I think that I have to stop. Maybe I can explain me better. But if you had the presentation by Albert from Elisava, maybe you know that I spent 3 years with them for, not full time, but in any case, and that design for city making was what we were doing. So we said, okay, we should try to show that designer has something to do with city making. The city making is not only for planners, but it's also for designers. And the issue is to be recognized, because normally the people do not recognize that we have some capability to intervene in this area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, the superillas, yeah, design for city making. Thank you, Ezio. I will spend weeks in conversation with you, but I think everything's so interesting. Well, the thing of design and designs for social innovation comes from this question. As we think, I think language is important too, and it comes from the project, our last project, which is with a quarter. This is in the other side of the river, in which there's a very strong neighborhood movement. They are very, very strong in this side, but at the same time, it's a very deprived quarter. So we have both in there. And we are very lucky because we are collaborating in some way very much. And the question about professionalizing the social designer, the problem is of course, our pupils want to get paid in some way. They need it to lead a living, to have a living. But if they get involved in this kind of things, even if they are graphic product or whatever, they have to invest quite time. And I read a small text from you from 2014 in which you said, well, the ones who do social design, maybe correct me if I'm not okay, yeah? If it's not okay, they won't get paid. But then if you use social design and innovation, it's probably you get paid in some way. Is it? Do you remember this?
I don't want to monopolize the discussion, really. Okay. I think we have to move on, but I give you a very short feedback. I remember, because this is one of the things that I said. If you go to the beginning of social design, this is Papanek. Yeah. The story is, what is social design? It's a supposed industrial design. It's supposed a design that have clients. So social design is imagining to design on issues that do not have a client. This is why, in this very traditional way of talking, if you don't have a client, you have to work as on a voluntary basis. Mm-hmm. Now it's not totally like this, because there is some social, there are so many, not so many, there are some organizations, there are some associations. So the social work can be done by some association. So you as a designer can be hired by the association that works. So it is something in the area of voluntary, but there are some associations that organize this, and maybe it can be also work. It's not the same for design for social innovation, because design for social innovation is whatever generates a change in the system. So if you, for instance, I always use this example, if you are in mobility, if you work for social innovation, it can happen to you to work, I don't know, for an alternative system of mobility. But if you work for the city in Barcelona, for instance, you work for the city in Barcelona, and you work for the city in Barcelona to reorganize the mobility in Barcelona, and you are a designer paid to do that work. So again, sometimes the work can be driven by somebody, that an entity that do not have money, so you are again on the voluntary basis. But if we talk whatever we are talking, we talk about changing the organization of the living toward more collaborative living. This means to reorganize the way in which our houses and our neighborhoods are done. And this is a work that at a certain moment there have been some company that participate, and you design. If you consider now the bike sharing now, there are people that design the bike sharing. It's not a voluntary issue to design a bike for the bike sharing. So it depends. The good thing of calling innovation is innovation always go on the line that starts from an invention and afterward consolidate. When you consolidate, there will be somebody that enter in the game also by the economical point of view. So there is no reason to do it for free.
Okay, thank you.
Cecilia, can I ask something? Because one of the things I saw in your school, and you have also pointed out during your presentation, is that for the last 5 years, I think you said, the entire school is engaged in the projects for at least with social objectives. How do you manage? It was something like from the director of the school that decided that all the projects developed across the school, they were like designed for social innovation, or it was something like bottom up that the professors start to do these kind of projects and then the entire school was involved on this?
Well, thank you, Teresa, for your question. Well, it's bottom up, but it's really, we have the big lucky. We were lucky because the director team, Luisa, Jara, Nereida, and all the people they were absolutely supporting and giving the support for everything. So it's difficult in here because in public school, you not always can do what you want to do. So investing quite a lot of time, working overtime, many teachers around and in the school, we have come to do this. But it's very important that again, the team, the CEOs have always let us do. And this very beginning could be, it's something personal, but maybe it's just that in the beginning, I studied law, and then I studied art. And then in one moment, I did a master and a post-degree on public policies, sociology and public policy. And at the same time, by chance, maybe by coincidence, we had work with, this was much before Ilvana and so on, isn't it, Jose? And we had this work with intellectually disabled, maybe by chance, and then everything started. I mean, we start because, and then at the end work of the post degree was about social design. I read Papanek, I read Mancini, I read Margolin and all that, and then we started. And it's kind of contagious because as a professional experience is very beautiful. For students, it's beautiful too because they work in real. And the thing is, we always work with 3 premises, which are immersion, I mean, face-to-face work, tactile work. Second, we always do P2P work. It means all at the same level. There's not charity, neither on. And for the third, it's participatory. It means everyone takes decisions and everyone also makes the thing we are going, participate in doing. So deciding and doing. So these 3 things is what we are trying to do. And now it's immersed, it's transversally in almost all disciplines and very much of the subjects we have in here. Is this a good answer for you, Teresa?
Yeah, it is because the entire school and the entire students, they are focus on this. So it's really interesting because it's so hard to develop this kind of projects, and having an entire school with across all disciplines working on this, it's I think it will make a difference on future generations of designers coming out from your school. I think Jose wants to say something.
Yeah, hello everybody again. Trying to answer your question, Teresa. What we found out is that because we have a curricula, very strict curricula, it was better to make a kind of call in the beginning of the course each year for those teachers that would like to engage with some of the projects. So if they decide to do that, they start to be in relation with the coordinators of those projects, or trying to establish their own way of working, trying to find a way that they may introduce the work they would have to do in their own signatures with the exercises that are within the curricula. So it's a big effort that had required also a formation on active methodologies, but it is starting to prove as a good way to deal with this curricula, very restricted, and the way we would like to work in the future, no? Because some projects are very small or very short, and sometimes a teacher make something, for example, for Ilvana during 3 months, others are involved during 3 years. So it allowed us to scale the different interventions without making a very difficult or complicated schedule or something like that, no? So we are trying to apply expert designing for those projects, but trying to make very agile our organization. Also, maybe you can find out something there.
I'm also quite happy to see that Albert Fuster is here, and seeing, of course, you are not far away from each other, but seeing that there are some synergies between both schools are interesting. I don't know if the students are, or if you are willing to collaborate in future projects among your students or not, but this could be an interesting start for DESIS network to have DESIS Labs. Albert.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Nice to meet you all. And thank you all the ESDA team. Yeah, no, it was, I think, 1 month ago that they invited me, and I was really proud, and we had a nice time. And no, we haven't explored that yet, but I think it's really, really meaningful, your question, to try to, I think, well, first of all, and also Teresa, I think it's really important, this initiative of the DESIS Café, this place to share our common concerns and potential ideas. And yes, I think it's really nice to try to find out, let's say, sub levels of engagement between DESIS Labs in terms of geography or in terms of content. And for sure, well, we have Zaragoza and we have Valencia, which are the three. We are 3 hours by car each of each other. So for sure, we could try to build some kind of network focusing on certain issues that for sure concern our cities and our academic staff. Yeah, I think that, of course, all of us are young, as you know. First DESIS Lab in Spain was open, like, yes, it was 5 years ago when Ezio decided to come to Barcelona and to Elisava. So we're young, we're learning a lot yet, but that would be a great initiative for sure.
May I say something? So I want to thank you, Albert. I would pose a challenge. Maybe the relation could come because we are a medium-sized city, and maybe the things you do in Barcelona could in some way try to, it's absolutely a different context, but maybe we could see the impact, the things you do, if you do something of the things you do in here in small, like a dollhouse, we are so small, and try to see how it works. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be good, but of course, let's explore. But as the example, I think I explained in the meeting we had. If you run an art museum, a modern art museum, and your reference is the MoMA or the Centre Pompidou, you will always be like disappointed. And I'm not saying, I mean, I think that one of the nice things of DESIS is that you work completely situated on site, understanding which is the reality of your context, your the communities, the individuals, the legacy of the place in which you are. So I'm really, of course, we can share, but I mean, I think that we can explore more meaningful initiatives rather than trying to plug Barcelona initiatives in Zaragoza. I think that you have your own everything, your own situation, concerns, context, and I think that one of the nice things of DESIS and of these DESIS cafes is understanding how the nuances on as mentioned, territory, policies, legacy, bring exceptional opportunities that are not dependent of any other context. So I think that's, for me, that is one of the most important things related to social design for social innovation, for students to understand, as you mentioned, they work for real. So students to understand, to break a little bit this myth of the innovation based on Excel sheets and post-its, and for students to understand that innovation is something that happens in place with people, with certain constraints that will surely make the project better. So yeah, let's explore it in the best way, for sure.
I will pose a question now. How do you think two different as the DESIS Lab from different places in the world can relate, should relate, in exchanging research papers in which you talk about the same issue, of course, but how, are there any other labs that are relating in any way in practical performance?
Yeah, there are some, for instances, the DESIS Lab in Aveiro have received two researchers from the DESIS Lab in Politecnico di Milano. Tongi University received also a researcher from another DESIS Lab. I've been also collaborating with Carla Cipolla in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So there are some topics that we are developing and they are common. And the idea is that you can exchange a researcher or a student, or even start a research project together. So everything is possible. And of course, during this DESIS Café, if we know each other, we can see, okay, they are doing something that I'm doing very similar, maybe we can get in touch. And after this DESIS Café, there are some DESIS Labs that get together and they start a conversation on their own. So it is possible to develop nowadays. And as you used to say that with the pandemic, some good things came out, and these platforms are one of those that it's possible to be together nowadays online. We can develop these kind of projects with the students online, and they can have this cultural exchange also, because doing something, I saw that Anna has left, but she has joined from Lapland, so it's a completely different cultural context from the south of Europe. So if we can see that we have some common points and we can exchange some knowledge, it's fantastic. As you do, you want to add something to this? You are very experienced on all the DESIS Labs since the beginning.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, you put the finger in one of the most sensitive issue, because when you organize a network, when you organize whatever organization, you have to ask yourself why you are doing it. And so you say, okay, you said now that we are DESIS Lab, and so what? So when we discussed it from the beginning, so many years ago when we started, means more than 10 years ago, 12 years ago, the motivation was simple, was to spread the idea that A, social innovation exists, B, the design can do something. And the two things together was not so obvious at that moment. So the answer to the question was simply spread the voice. So we are in network, so you see, if you have met, I don't know, Elisava, they show you something, and afterward you met somebody else, and maybe imagine that your school was not so convinced, the school can be convinced. So this has been the motivation. But since, I don't know, let's say 5 years, the idea that in the School of Design, people can deal with design for social innovation appears sufficiently clear, maybe not using the term. And therefore, practically, there is no one good School of Design that I know around the world that is not doing something that in some way can be called design for social innovation. So the reason to have a network simply to spread the voice is not so important, because the voice is not thanks to us. Maybe we give a little contribution, but the strength of the need of this kind of attitude toward reality made that there are many sensitive teachers and researchers in the School of Design. So everybody understood at a certain point that there was something to do. But it remained, in any case, it remained to feel part of a community that can be, if I understood well, in your case, you are a kind of paradise because all the school is committed. So you do not need any help from outside by this point of view. But there are some schooling which is needed because or is not recognized as social innovation, or is not recognized that you can have a design that is not making products in the normal way. But the idea is to improve knowledge and how we can improve knowledge. So we are very related to research, but not specifically. We are not a network of PhD students only. There are also PhD students, of course. But the idea, going back to one of the things that you said at the beginning, the professors are very overwhelmed by the design, the didactic activity, so they do not have so much time on research. But the core of the idea of DESIS is that the students with the professor, if they have a brief in a certain way, they are doing a kind of research. So beyond the fact that it would be fantastic also to have a PhD students, it will be super fantastic to find some money for a formal research for Europe or whatever. But the very basic is that a normal course, as the one that you are doing, as I said, I have not really understood very well what you're doing, but I saw that you're doing something interesting. So that kind of work is become an opportunity to have a reflection. It's producing knowledge. And therefore, DESIS is to put together this kind of experience and to produce knowledge and to exchange knowledge. As you can say, yes, but how we exchange knowledge with the others. And here there is nothing that we can do centrally, but the idea is to find somebody that starts some activity. So the idea is to find some topic and to cluster around this topic some different DESIS Lab that are interested in that topic. And these can have a very light or not so light program together. So the very light is simply, let's start this year doing some project in parallel and confrontate the results after 1 year or after 6 months, or let's do something together at the end, find the money to make an exhibition or find the energy to make a book, or find a way to propose a research to the European community, given that we are in Europe. And this happened. So in this specific moment that I'm talking, for several reasons, we don't have an active cluster, but the one that has been active until now was the one on city making, that, by the way, is very similar to what you're doing. That probably could be revamped, but the important thing is you have not really simply expect. So we choose that DESIS is a very light network. So we don't ask for money, and the organization is there only to do some fundamental things, but very light. So at the end of the day, we help people to connect with the others, we as DESIS, but are the single labs that have to find the energy to go together and to invent what to do. So also when we say, I don't know, you mentioned before the philosophy talk, it exists because a group of people led by Virginia Tassinari, time by time, organized a philosophy talk. In Brazil, they organized something they called DESIS Students, and they did it in a certain way. So I don't know how it's going now, but somebody find the energy to put people together on some topic, and this is a way to do. What we could do, I think that this can be done also by me, but also by Teresa, Anna, Giselle, is understanding better, given that you are, as you said, fresh, to understand better what are the topic on which you work, and to see if there are somebody else that is working in this. If we know, it's not given that we know, because, for instance, when we started, we knew each other, all of us. And now, even Teresa and me, we don't know everybody. So one of the good reasons to make this cafe is to know each other. At least this is for sure something very useful for us. Because there are many labs that, yes, I see what they are presenting, but I don't know what they are doing. But we can help in finding who is doing something together. And afterward, it's up to you to transform in a collaboration.
Mm-hmm. There's one thing I would like to add to what you say. Thank you, Ezio, for your comments. They are always super interesting. But we were thinking the other day that social design for social innovation, it has a good thing that maybe we have not thought about, and it's that it defends itself on its own. I mean, maybe you don't need as much activists than doers and doing, because, for example, right wing and left wing, they all say, yes, it's great, it's common sense. So then for practical reasons, it's good to maybe get a budget, or it is easier to get budget, even when you have both sides in the, for example, in hometown, in the Mary. I don't know. Yes?
I lost what you said, the last sentence.
No, I was saying that the good thing of social innovation, and it's something we can count on, is that it's good for right wing, but it's good for talking about politics. It's good for everyone. I mean, for the left wing and for the right wing. So when you're tackling funding problems, it's more easy to defend. I don't know. It's something. It's a common, no? When you're in practical matters. I mean, but yeah, I don't know what I'm lost. I don't know why I thought about it. We were talking about spreading the voice and find the topic for clusters and philosophy talks and all that.
I think that
maybe
if I have well understood now, again, I don't want to talk so much, but of course, we are doing politics. All the designers do politics, but in general, in my view, these politics are also in some way oriented in relation to what traditionally in Europe we call right. What is interesting of social innovation is that given that they move from problems, it can break some stereotyped ideology and reposition the question on some problems. And this is why it could be also a way to reweave some broken social fabric. But I stop here, but this do not mean that there is not a right and not a left. And for what regards myself, I have no doubt where I am and what I do. So there are some value that can be generated also starting from the reorganization of some very everyday life system.
Yes, but sorry, I don't want to monopolize, but it's so interesting that I can stop. Just
yes, we can have a private cafe.
I know what. I'm sorry, but of course I also know the wing I'm mine, but what I mean is that when you are wanting to do something, the good thing of social innovation is that there's no ideology because it's common sense. I mean, if you go,
it's not common sense because it became with the neoliberal wave that has been dominant in the past 30 years. The common sense is everybody's per se, everybody's an individual against the others. So when the starting point is maybe if we collaborate, we get some result. This is the common sense of who are right to think in this way, because what has been the mainstream in thinking was opposite. This was the idea that everybody is an individual and you have to try to satisfy your need individually and maybe also competing with your neighbors. So it is not neutral at all.
Yeah. Okay.
If you want the real difficulties in this moment, but again, I don't know the other, maybe they are all gone away, is that the far right is talking about community too, because the far right have some attitude that are not neoliberal, they are talking about communities.
Yeah.
So we have to see where are the differences in between the way in which, I don't know for you, but for myself, I am a promoter of communities that are totally diverse from the community promoted by the leader of my government in this moment in Italy. And this is in some way is much more difficult and slippery, because it was quite easy to say why, if Lady Thatcher 30 years ago said that there is no society, all individuals, we say, no, we have to recreate social fabric, recreate social form, to recreate, in some way, communities. When you have this new right that says, oh, we have the communities of the people living in Italy, the community of the people living in this village, the community of us white people against the migrants, this become, because they're talking about community too. And if you want, for me, the difference is what is a community based on the identity. That means that we are different from the others, from what we do are community based on projects. So exactly what you said before, what we want to do together. And you can be white, black, Muslim, Catholic. If you want to do the same thing, I can do the same thing. Where the community that they are talking about are the community of the similars.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We have this problem very near in here. Very, very, it's not just as in Italy, but maybe next poll, it's quite
we can say also in Sweden, not only in Italy.
No, in Sweden, in Russia.
But Russia is
that is like the dictatorship. We are going out of the
Yeah, we have also just in a few minutes to conclude. I see that Jose wants to, as his hand raised. So Jose.
Thank you, Teresa. Well, we met in Valencia in that international congress about circular economy and social innovation. I think one of the conclusions was that because designers are involved in so many different tasks, there used to be a kind of factotum during a process, so they may change relations between business, social associations or whatever. Now we in our school with our little projects, we are trying to change especially relations, no? Trying to find out what we can do to make an innovative way of being in common, to relate with others. DESIS, in fact, does this task very well. We have found out a lot of research that we are now using to fundament our own research and to expand the idea of what we consider design. We are now trying to, the group that conforms this DESIS Lab, we are trying to be influential on the way the ESDA school has to change the curricula in order to make the idea of design wider, to be able to focus on social problems or social innovation and other questions. So, for example, we have been in touch with RMIT from Melbourne in Australia. There are two researchers, Joko Akama and Tanya Ivanka, who had published very interesting works for designing future designers. And those were fundamental documents for us to explain what we try to do on sustainability. They have their own DESIS Labs, so I think DESIS is doing its work, and I hope we will find partners to work together in those projects we have. So thank you for all this effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have to finish. I want to thank Cecilia and Jose and Jara for your wonderful presentation, for letting us know more about the school, the projects, and also your DESIS Lab. I would just like to inform you that our next DESIS Café will be on January, on 18 January, so please save the date. We will also have our General Assembly in December, and you will receive some news very, very shortly. And I hope to see you all very, very, very soon. And thank you once again for sharing your projects with us.
Thank you. Please. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you soon.